started building our book. So we are going to wrap our chipboard, actually form the actual book itself. So what we're going to need is a few pieces of chipboard. We'll want one piece that is 5 3/4 by 8 inches, a second piece that is 6 by 8, two little pieces for the spine, 1 inch by 8 inches, and then you're going to want another piece for the part of the cover that wraps over. I am using a product called Craftex. It just looks like an ivory color cardstock, but it is actually, I should have looked this up before I started filming, but it is kind of like, it's not a material, it's definitely a paper, but you can't tear it. See, it doesn't tear. It's actually really cool. It's almost canvas-like. No, let me re-say that. It's almost like canvas paper. Anyway, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to give this a shot. So in its place, you can actually cut yourself another piece of chipboard, and that you would cut down to 4 inches by 8 inches, and you can just leave it square so that it would just wrap across like this, if you know what I mean. You could just leave it a rectangle shape, or all I did was find the center here, and then I just cut from here to here. Just something a little bit different. It almost makes it look like an envelope, right? It's kind of what I was going for. So anyway, so that's what you'll need for chipboard. And to wrap our spines, or to wrap our book, to wrap the chipboard, we're going to need a few pieces of cardstock. I am using the Artisan cardstock in the olive color. I believe it's called olive. Might be dark olive. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's incredible. With this paper collection, you can see how it just pulls the green out of the page. It's just incredible. Anyway, so you're going to want one piece that's 7 3/4 by 10 inches, a second piece that's 8 by 10, and then for the spines, we're going to want two pieces that are 4 inches by 8 inches. So let's jump in and start with our piece that's 8 by 10. You're going to want the piece of chipboard that is cut to 6 inches by 8 inches. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to put it in our scoreboard. Is that crooked? It feels crooked. Oh, there we go. Okay. So you can use your favorite adhesive on the back. I know I've said this a billion times. I would prefer to have score tape sheets, but unfortunately I don't have any. I need to order some. So I'm just using score tape. I like to use score tape when I wrap my covers, just so that it gets a really good stick. And I know that art glitter glue does just as well. So I like to see that little bit of overhang I have there. I just like to fold that back on itself. Okay. And then if you have these acrylic spacers that are available in the shop, they're awesome. They make it very, very easy to line up your chipboard. These are the orange ones here are 1 inch by 12 inches. And then this one is 1.5 inches by 12 inches. And we use this one for to wrap the spine. So I'm just going to take our piece of chipboard and line it up right there in that corner. And then you get a perfect perfectly centered piece of chipboard. Sorry, I guess my coffee hasn't kicked in yet this morning. So that's the first one. Okay, and let's move to the 7 3/4 by 10 inches. And then you're going to want to take your piece of chipboard that's 5 3/4 by 8. Let's add in our acrylic spacers. There's also these spacers also available in the shop are these little ones. Oh, I haven't taken my paper off of this one yet, this set. One is 1/2 inch, one is 1/4 inch, and I'm going to guess this one's 1/8 inch. Oh no, that one's 1/4 inch too. So then what's this one? This one's 3/8. So there's 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/4 inch. These are great for when you're doing waterfalls. They're great for anything. If you're doing the old method of wrapping your chipboard, you could set it up against the chipboard and place your next piece right next to it. It's perfect. So I don't know if those are in stock in the shop as of today. They may be. I didn't think about checking that before I started, so I apologize if it's sold out. Okay. So let's just remove the backer off of the score tape, or add your wet glue or your favorite adhesive. Okay, and we're just going to line that up. That couldn't be, look at that, that just couldn't be easier. Love it. Okay, and let's move on to spine number 1. So the reason, I think you may have already deciphered this, but when you're wrapping your chipboard so that you get 1 inch on all 4 sides, if your chipboard is 6 by 8, you want to add 2 inches to each to the length and the width. So that's why this piece of paper is 8 by 10. But when you're wrapping your spine, we want 1.5 inches on either side of your chipboard, because it's going to wrap around. You'll see what we do. You just need just a little bit more on the sides. So there's that one. I apologize, I don't feel like I'm explaining that very well. So here's this, and I apologize if you hear some activity in the background. We have a plumber here this morning, and yeah, he has to cut into a wall, so that's fun. Okay, so now we have our spines. Set those to the side, and let's grab our piece of chipboard that's 6 by 8. What I like to do is I use my desktop to help me out here. So I just take, place it on your desktop, fold it over, and it helps you to actually score the cardstock. Last one. Okay. Now that looks like it's off a little bit. I guess I wasn't so great. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Okay. Set that aside. Let's do the next one. To be honest, you really don't need 1 inch around the edges of the chipboard to wrap it. For years and years and years, I may do with just 1/2 inch. So, yeah. So there's that. Okay, so let me grab my, I like to use, when I'm cutting cardstock, I like to use my, what are these called? My cutter bee scissors. It's just nice and makes a nice smooth cut. Not that, I mean, I have my Tim Holtz scissors and I absolutely love those, but they're serrated and they leave the tiniest little jaggy marks. I don't know, it bothers me. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and on those score marks, we're going to cut straight up to the edge of the chipboard. You don't want to cut beyond that. You don't want to cut into the chipboard, obviously. So then we're just going to come over here and miter that, and we're going to just cut that out. Okay? Do the same over here. Let's turn it around. Do the same on the back side. And on this side. Okay. Then, oops, completely missed my garbage can, went right on the floor. And my garbage can couldn't be bigger too. It's so funny. All right, so for this part, I do use the Arc Glitter Glue. I'd love to use the Arc Glitter Glue if it wasn't clogged. All right. Oh, I just am in love with the color of this paper. Absolutely love it. All right. Let's do the other side. Then I like to, oh, that's close. I like to go like this, kind of flatten that paper right up against the chipboard. And it makes it just look nice and professionally made. All right, I notice I have a tiny little bit, those little buggers that make me crazy on the corners. Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap this side. Please ignore my dirty little cloth. It's actually not dirty. It's just got ink and it's actually clean. It's just stained with ink from stamping. Okay. Then we're going to go to this side. So you see it's inevitable. You're going to get that little bit that wants to squish out. Right. So this is the left front cover. Okay, and you'll notice that I did make it a little bit smaller than this one because I didn't want, when this wraps around the front, I didn't want this to get caught and cause any disturbance in the closure. So, I mean, look how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness, love it. So that's that one. I won't put you through watching me do the second one. So let's just switch over to one of the spines. Okay. We're just going to do the same thing we did with the other cover. It feels weird because it's so much wide. The cardstock is so much wider than the chipboard on this one. All right, so let's do this. Same thing. Put some glue. All right, this side. Okay. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and wrap the other two. You can go ahead and do that, and I'm going to go ahead, and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. You have your two covers, the 5 3/4 by 8 and the 6 by 8, nicely wrapped. Then you have your two spines that are 1 by 8. And then what you want to do on the spines, again, you're just going to wrap the two short sides. Then you're going to turn it over, and we're going to, obviously you can see I added my score tape here. Let's set these aside. And we're going to attach our cover to our spine. So what you want to do is turn it over. So we're going to actually attach this on the inside, and it's going to just make a nice, beautiful, clean line right there. So I add this into my scoreboard. You don't have to use your scoreboard. I just find that little extra bit right there helps me keep this really straight. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove my score tape backing. You can also use art glitter glue here. It works really, really well. I actually use just a little bit. Again, camera's rolling, so it's got a clock. Okay, there we go. Just put a little bit of score tape right along there in case I need a little bit of, not score tape, I'm sorry, wet glue, in case I need a little bit of wiggle room. I mean, I know this is overkill, but it makes me feel better. So what you want to do, so you see you have, right, the edge here. You don't want to go past that score line when you're lining this up. So when I get in there, come on, get in there. It's stuck on some adhesive that's on my mat. That's so funny. So you want to make sure you have a little bit of a gap right there, and the glue is inevitably going to squish through. It's okay, it'll dry clear. So just give that a good burnish, push down really well on that, and I just lift it up and get your bone folder and burnish the heck out of it. Make sure you get a nice stick, because what you're doing there also is flattening the glue. You know, you just want to make sure that, you know, sometimes if you use a thinner paper and you use wet glue, you'll see the little wiggle marks. I never have that problem with the Artisan cardstock because it is amazing. But yeah, so you can see that's the first one connected. Now I'm going to grab my 6 by 8 and just do the exact same thing. Add a little bit of, oh, I went a little rogue there. It's okay. Okay, let's line that up. Make sure it's straight. And then come over here. I'm just going to lift up on that to remind me where that line is. There's my old eyes. All right. Make sure everything's lined up. Don't want to go beyond it. The edge of the spine chipboard. Oh, I'm a little bit off. There we go. So you see how that popped up? See, watch this one. How it pops up. That's how you know you're doing it correctly. At least that's how I learned. Okay, now I'm just gonna try to get rid of that little bit of wet glue. Turn it over. Okay. right, so now I'm going to go back to this one. You want to take a blunt edge bone folder, and this one is a Teflon bone folder. And I know I've said this in every video, but if you have a pointy edge one, now I love this bone folder also. It's good in my little chubby hand, but it's too pointy, and it can poke right through the cardstock. So I like to use a blunt edge, and I just come right along that seam right there. Just give it a nice burnish. See how it gives it just a nice clean finish? I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Just gorgeous. So, whoops. And then do the same on the inside, just defining that little gap there. Okay. So you see how that looks so pretty? So again, you can see here, see how this is about a quarter of an inch shorter than this one, so that when the next one folds over, it won't cause any issues. All right, so now we're going to add the next spine. So this is the left side spine. This one's the right side. So let's just do the same thing again. And on the video, I will speed through this one so you don't have to sit and watch me do it again. I personally enjoy watching people's process videos. Just sit and veg out. Okay, so now I want to make sure that this is straight in my scoreboard. Just doing the exact same thing you just watched me do. I'm going to set it down. Yeah, I'm going to get covered with pattern paper, and no one will ever see it because I know you're not going to tell. So there we go, and then just do the same thing we did before. Just finish it up. Okay, so there you see we have how the book is coming together, right? I mean, it's still a little bit flimsy, but it's coming together there. So I actually went ahead and cut a piece of cardstock. If you don't like this idea, cutting it like an envelope type shape, you can always just take another piece of cardstock, and this is, let me write this down, so this I think is, yeah. This is 4 inches by 8 inches. Hope you can see that. Yeah, 4 inches by 8 inches, and you would just do the exact same thing. Go ahead and, wrap it with your cardstock, and you just do the exact same thing we just did twice, and you're just going to add it on there, and then it will flip over and it'll be squared like that. I'm going to add mine. I won't show you that on camera, but you'll see that I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to have to trim this down. Obviously, trim this and this. I am going to cover this with a pattern paper. And if I'm feeling a little bit motivated, I might actually stitch it with my sewing machine. I don't know. I'm not sure I should try that today, but I just might. But anyway, so you can go ahead and add that so that you'll have that. But what I want to show you is, because you see it's kind of willy-nilly, right? So let's move this out of the way. All right, so now I'm going to actually just cover my spines. Oops, is that 2 pieces? There we go. So, oh, I'm going to have to trim that one. Okay, so some people, I've heard some say that they don't cover the inside, they don't wrap the inside of the book because they're going to use pattern paper anyway. And I'm going to do the same, but I do like to actually add a piece of the, the coordinating or the cardstock across the spine. And if you want to do that as well, you can. It just needs to be 3 inches by 7 7/8 inches, because I like to have at least an inch overhang. So I cut 2 of those. This one I'm going to have to trim down, but yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm just going to have to trim that little bit that's overhanging, or I might actually just line it up with the edge of the cardstock. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll just line it up with the edge of the chipboard. Sorry, it's not cardstock. Okay, so I'll just show you this really quickly. Ooh, it's warm here today. Warmer than it has been. Sun shining, beautiful blue sky. I got a day off of work. Lucky girl. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. And I think this is, I said this is 3 inches by 7 7/8 inches. I like to keep just a little bit of a, a little bit of a border. I'm going to stand up and do this. So I'm just going to come along right here. Okay, stick that down. Oops. I got a new light, and huge, and I keep hitting my head on it. Oh goodness. Okay. Now this is a bit of overkill, as I mentioned, but okay. There we go. What's important is I'm creating that seam right there. Okay. Oh, sorry. Did you just see my head? Sorry about that. All right. So then take your bone folder and burnish the heck out of it. You could use a brayer too. I'm just old school. I just always use my bone folder. Close up my glue. Okay. So then at this point, I just want, right where the seam is on the spine, just kind of lift it up and teach it where you want it to go. And I do it on the other side as well. Just push, lift it up. And then come back through here with the bone folder. See how it's defining that? And that score tape that I had on this piece here is actually now making contact with the piece of cardstock that's actually in that seam. This gives it a nice, clean, finished look. And I'm just forming my book. Okay, so there's the first. Let's do the same over here. Just very slowly. Now this one doesn't have chipboard, so it's going to look a little awkward, but I will make it work. All right. It always makes me nervous when I bend it over like that. I'm always like, it's gonna break or it's gonna tear, but it never does because the Artisan cardstock is fantastic. Okay, this one is being a jerk. There we go. All right, so there. This one I'm going to have to mess with for a bit. Ooh. Okay, so that's going to come around like that. And see how it holds its shape better now that, it has something actually supporting it at the spines. So yeah, so that's the basic book. Next, Oh, by the way, you can also, if you decide to do the chipboard, you could also take this right cover and flap it underneath. But I really like it. So let's get started. We are going to create the inside of our little folio. We are going to put on the left inside cover, we're going to put 2 vertical pockets, and then we are going to actually put a waterfall pocket, or a pocket with a waterfall in the center. And then, yeah, I kind of got a little ahead of myself here and started adding my pattern paper. Let's get going here. So for the 2 vertical pockets, we are going to need 1 piece of your whichever cardstock you choose. And I believe I mentioned in the earlier part of the video that I am using the Artisan cardstock in the olive green color. It is one of my all-time favorite colors. It's just beautiful. So the first pocket, we are going to cut our piece of cardstock. It's 2.5 by 8 7/8. Okay, so, and then your second one is going to be 2 inches by 8 7/8 inches. So then we are going to put the first one, your 2.5 inch pocket, and your scoreboard. Let me scoot that over. On the 2.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch all the way down the length, and turn it or rotate it, score 1/2 inch, rotate it again, and score another 1/2 inch. So essentially you just scored at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay, why am I all out of whack here? Okay, so again, you can use wet glue if you'd like. For just to speed up the video, I am using score tape. So you're going to want to fold. I know I didn't burnish this. Fold and burnish along your score lines. Okay, and then you can see I angled that small tab there, and then we're going to just angle those 2 tabs. Like we've done this many times. But if you're new, welcome. If you're new, all we're doing is removing those corner pieces that cause a little bit of bulk whenever you fold the pocket up. So let's do that, and let's also, on your second pocket, vertical pocket piece, that's 2 by 8 7/8, we're going to put it in the scoreboard. Oops, nope, sorry, wrong way. We're going to put it in the scoreboard with the 8 7/8 inch side on the top right. So we're going to score at 1/2 inch, and then score, turn it, and score 1/2 inch again. Okay? And then we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to miter those edges, or angle cut on the flap to just remove a little bit of bulk. And then what it does, if this is the top of the page, I don't know if you can tell there, but see how it's angled at the top and at the bottom? When you put a tag or something inside, I have found if you don't cut that at a slight angle, your tag could get caught up in this little piece as you're sliding it in a pocket. It's just one of those little things you learn along the way, one of those little tricks. So let's bring this back in, and again, this is the inside left cover. So I forgot to get all my tools out. I'm going to go ahead and just form. Oh, I did it backwards. Did I do it backwards? I did it backwards. Yikes. Don't do as I do, do as I say. So I'm going to remove the backing on my score tape. And I am just going to fold in the bottom of the pocket and slide that one flap over and the other flap over, so that we created a little pocket with a little bit of, what is the word? a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to turn my book this way. I find it easier to keep it straight. Let me just move my keyboard so I don't shut the video off again. Okay. So again, this is a vertical pocket, so this is the left-hand side of my folio. So I'm just going to take this and take the folded bottom of the pocket and line it up. Get it really close to the edge without going over the edge. Keep it as straight as you can get it. Stick it down. Give it a good burnish. Make sure everything sticks nicely. And there's our first pocket. And we'll just pretend like this is a tag. And we just slide that in. See? Okay. So, and you don't worry about covering this with pattern paper, but because since it's a pocket, it doesn't need to have pattern paper because we are going to cover that with pattern paper when we decorate the book. So this is our second vertical pocket. And this is where you can decide how you want to have this work. Anyway, so you can line these up right next to each other, or you can scoot this up. I'm going to go maybe, I don't know if that's a 1/2 inch, maybe. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, putting it where I want it. And again, just giving them another good burnish. And so if we wanted to, when we cover the pockets with pattern paper, let's just pretend that this piece of ivory cardstock is the right size. For the first pocket, I would probably go cut it at about 3 inches by 8 7/8, or not 8 7/8, 7 7/8 inches. This is a little bit short, but what you're going to do if this were pattern paper, slide it inside the pocket and then leave yourself a nice border. So when you open the book, you would see this pattern paper, and this would have its own little strip of pattern paper, so you know that this is a pocket. And then let's just pretend that this is another piece of the pattern paper. So for the second pocket, you're going to slide it down, you know, being mindful of where the edge of your chipboard is. So you can see that that pocket would have pattern paper as well. One's finished. So we are going to go ahead and add our waterfall to the center. Again, this is a super quick and easy folio. Perfect for any occasion. All right, so what we're going to want, so this waterfall only has 4 flaps. Because this is going to be the waterfall base / pocket. Sorry, that's 6 7/8 by 7. And then there's also going to be a flap. So that would be 5 7/8 by 5 inches. And so we'll start from the bottom up. All right, so on our base, waterfall base / pocket, that is 6 7/8 by 7 inches. We are going to put it, I guess it doesn't really matter. We're going to put it in our scoreboard on the 6 7/8 inch side and score it 1/2 inch. Rotate it, score 1/2 inch, rotate it one more time, and score it 1/2 inch. So just like we did with the previous pocket, we just scored at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. All right, so then we are going to fold along those score lines and burnish. Give it a nice crease, fold and burnish. And here's where you can use your art glitter glue or whatever type of glue you prefer. Again, for the sake of the video, I am just using my 3/8 inch score tape. And we are going to miter the corners on the bottom, get rid of bulk. And then again, since it's a pocket, we're just going to trim that little bit off of the edge. Okay, I guess I could have waited, but anyway, I am going to, well, let's just set that one aside, and then let's do this first. So these are the 4 waterfall flaps. Again, they're 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. We are going to put them into our scoreboard on the 4 3/4 inch. 4 3/4 is on your top right hand side. You can see, I hope you could see that right there. And we're just going to score it 1/2 inch. That's all the scoring you have to do on this one. And you're going to want to do that for all 4 of your flaps. Okay? And then we're going to fold along that score line. Give it a nice burnish here. Let's get a good crisp crease. Okay, oops. I don't know how I missed that. All right, I'm just going to redo that again on all 4 so that you can see. Okay, all right. So I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to bring back my base pocket, and I am going to actually turn it this way. So, okay, let's take your first waterfall flap, okay? This edge, the way I have it set in here, this is going to be in the left-hand side of my page. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can tell there, but this is a little bit short. Let's do it this way. This is about 1/4 inch shorter. My flap is 1/4 inch shorter than my actual pocket. And I did that on purpose just to give a little bit of a border. So I am going to center this, bring it right up to the edge without passing over the edge. Try to keep it as straight as I can, and then just stick it down. Okay? You can see where the edge is right there. All right, and then grab the next one. And again, line everybody up, being mindful of where this first waterfall flap ends. There's about, I guess it's about 1/8 inch. Just want to line the edges up on both the top and the bottom, and then stick it down. All right, the next one, same thing. I will finish walking you through this. I was just going to skip ahead, but is that one up? Okay, there's the next one. And our last one. Oh, I hope that's straight. I think it's straight. It's straight-ish. Ish is good, right? It's a little bit off, but it's not too bad. Okay. All right, last one. Oh, one thing that I should have said is I rounded the corners. I used my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. I used a 1/2 inch. And you can round your corners, or you can use a decorative edge punch and punch your edges. I just find it easier to do all that before I stick it down into the book. It could still be done, but yeah. It's easier on you if you punch it before. Okay. There you go. All right, so now we have, it feels kind of weird because it's a pocket and it's a waterfall. So we can go ahead and stick the waterfall down into our book, right? So we're going to do it right this time. I'm going to fold up the bottom. No, that's wrong. I'm going to fold in the side. Good gravy. And I'm not going to remove all of the tape yet. And then let's fold in the other side. So I'm just kind of getting that out of the way. So I want to make sure I have it lined up first. All right, so now we have our waterfall that has the pocket. Okay, now we're going to grab our book. And I am going to bring this pretty close to the bottom. Oops, help if you could see it. Pretty close to the bottom of my book. Using the top of my scoreboard to straighten it. Make sure it's straight, right? Then I'm just going to come down, I don't know, maybe just the slightest bit up from the bottom. I don't even think that's 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to stick this part down. Remember, I didn't remove the adhesive all the way up yet. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a burnish, get that settled. Then I'm going to come over here, remove my score tape, come over here, remove my score tape. So now my pocket, my waterfall pocket, is in my book. Okay? And grab a piece of cardstock. Actually, let's use the colored one. And we have a nice tall pocket for right here. It's pretty, right? I think it's pretty. Okay, so I am going to take some seam binding. It's just take some score tape. This is my 3/8 inch. And just add, I don't know, about 1/2 inch or so, almost an inch. That's probably more than an inch. To one end. And I'm going to go, I always use more than I should. I know it. Everybody always tells me I'm wasteful. But, so I'm going to take, this is about 13 inches when you fold it in half. Okay, so this is folded in half. Oops, I don't know if you could tell. Folded in half. And I'm going to cut it off down here. Then I'm just going to take that edge that I put the score tape on. Let me put it on the other edge as well. Make sure it's on the same. Let me stick it down and then I'll put the score tape on. All right, so now I'm just going to find the center of my waterfall flap. And that's center-ish. I'm all about ish today. So I just stuck it down. This is going to get pattern paper on it. So, oopsie. So yeah. So that'll cover that up. Now I need to put some score tape on this side. Is that how I'm going to do it? Let me see. Yep. Going to add some score tape here. Again, you could use glue, I suppose. All right, so then I just try to find, whoops, keep it straight, kid, keep it straight. All right, I'm trying to find the middle here, line it up with the other piece, stick it down. Then I am just going to, oh, too close to the camera, I'm sorry. Give that a trim. And then, oh jeez. Oh jeez. I didn't see, I wasted it. I shouldn't have gone that far across. Yep, wasteful Anne Marie, that's me. Oh goodness. Okay. And then I'm just going to, all right, and now the last part, add originally this 5 7/8 by 5 inches, the flap was going to be the flap for the waterfall, but then I decided to make it a pocket instead. So I am going to make this a flap that comes from the right hand spine. Okay, so you want to cut yourself, again, that your piece of cardstock that's 5 7/8 long by 5 inches wide. And then when you put it in the 5 7/8 side of your scoreboard, you're going to score it at 1/2 of an inch, and that's it. And then we're going to take a piece of your cardstock that's 4 3/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches. And then we are going to add, on the 4 3/4 inch side, we're going to score it at 1/2 of an inch. Okay, so this is the same size as our waterfall pages. So instead of 4, you're going to want to cut 5. Okay, so we will do this one first since it's in my hand. Okay, so then you're going to fold on your score line and make sure you burnish really well. Give it a nice crease. Bring your book back in, and this is the left-hand side of my book. The waterfall's here in the center. Take your, oh, there it is. I was going to say, I couldn't have lost it already. Just got started. So I am going to, because this is on the spine, and I put score tape down, but I'm also going to give it a little bit, come on, glitter glue, a little bit of art glitter glue, just to buy me some time in case I need to swish it around. You know what I mean? Move it around. So I am going to take my flap, sorry, and this is the edge of my spine, and I am going to come down maybe about 1/4 of an inch, keep it really close to the edge, and just stick that flap down. Now I am going to, when I put the pattern paper on, I'm going to cover up these spines so the flap, even though it kind of blends in, it won't be seen. So that when the book is closed, you can see it, it's right there. It's kind of dark in there, isn't it? All right, so we have that flap, and you can see it flaps this way and this way. You could do some other things too. What I did was, I mentioned earlier, this is my We Are Memory Keepers, what is this called? A corner chomper. This is the 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch rounder. I just went ahead and I chomped rounded the corners with the 1/2 inch holes. As I mentioned earlier, you can edge punch. Now this one, I'm just going to get my seam binding out of the way. All right, this is, bring in your 5 7/8 by 5 inch flap, and then fold it on the score line and burnish it. Give it a nice crease. And again, round your corners or punch your edge or however you want to do it. So I'm going to turn mine this way, my book. Don't know why I like to work upside down, I just do. All right, so I am going to do essentially the same thing I did on the other side. I have this little piece of lace I need to get out of the way. Okay. All right, well, I better put some glue on there. Don't know that it's necessary. I don't think that score tape actually ever dries 100%. It might, but all right, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Line it up as close to the edge as I can, but I don't want to get it into that little space there in between the chipboards. All right, give it a good burnish. And that's just a little extra flap. So when your book, so here it's closed. When you open it, you will see obviously your pockets with your pretty little tags and whatever else you decide to put in here. This, you can actually add a little pocket to the front here and put some more tags in if you want. You can add a flap. You can, I just happen to have one here. You can add another flap here and let it open like that if you want to. I'm just keeping this very simple. So this one here also will fold open this way. This one I might add a pocket to. I don't know yet. But that is the basic book. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you'll consider liking this video, subscribing, and ringing the bell to get notifications of any future videos that I upload. And I am going to have a giveaway on my YouTube channel. Once I hit 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to do a pretty big giveaway. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.